सर मोबाइल से एक बार आप कुछ बोलिए, टेस्टिंग हो जाए तो फिर।
हाँ, मोबाइल से बोल रहे हैं। हाँ, हेलो, आवाज आ रही है?
यस सर, आवाज आ रही है सर। आपका वीडियो नहीं आ रहा सर, बस आवाज आ रही है सर।
हेलो, हेलो।
यस सर।
क्या वैसे लगता है? अरे, हेलो, हेलो, हेलो,
हाँ सर, आवाज आ रही थी सर आपकी।
हेलो, हेलो। अरे तो मोबाइल से मैं पूछ रहा था, बार बार तुम बता ही नहीं रहे थे। हाँ, हेलो, कौन? हेलो, हेलो।
हाँ सर, मैं कह रहा हूँ सर, आवाज आ रही है सर आपकी।
क्लियर है ना?
हाँ
है।
हाँ, नहीं सर, आवाज आ रही है सर आपकी।
चलो ठीक, कोई बात। चलो ठीक, कोई बात। चलो ठीक।
सभी पार्टिसिपेंट्स प्लीज अपना मोबाइल का जो वो माइक है उसे म्यूट कर दीजिए।
अच्छा, तो हम बंद कर दिए। So can I start?
Yes, sir. Sir, definitely, sir.
हेलो, मैं स्टार्ट कर
हेलो सर, मैं हूँ।
हाँ, तो
I'll
ओके
join.
सर। हाँ, okay sir, now it's our great pleasure to welcome and introduce the Professor Parag Kalkar ji, who is presently Dean of Commerce and Management Study, Savitribai Phule University, Pune. The participants, my dear students, research scholar from the Faculty of Commerce and Management Studies, that is Department of Commerce and Institute of Management Studies. You are luckiest to have a renowned speakers from all over the country. And in continuation to that, today's the sixth day of the workshop based on the research methodology. The Professor Parag Kalekar will tell you something about the factor analysis, correlation and regression analysis. Professor Parag Kalkar, he is the senior professor in Pune University, Pune University. He is a Senate member as well as having the various posts like earlier he was the Deputy Registrar Academy, Professor and Directors, and he is had a credit to publish various books cited in his credits and awarded the various articles also. So it's good for you to talk with the chat and give you feedback that how the research quality can be improved, because in each and every empirical study, whatever the data is collected, if they are not used with the statistical methods, then it will be very difficult to show your hypothesis which you have formed and developed before the starting of your research that has been rejected or accepted. The reason behind accepted and rejected of any hypothesis is more and more important, the research methodology and the logic for using the particular technique and methodology. So why you are going to use, where you will use which type of the research tools like correlation, regression, the other factor analysis, it's more and more important. So, Professor Parag Kalkar and all my dear participants for starting such a nice session. And this first session will begin from just 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. and after 30 minutes break, again it will start from 3 to 4:30 p.m. and hope the students will be benefited from these lectures. Again, I am welcoming Professor Kalkar on behalf of our university and the faculty that we have such a renowned professor and speaker for our today's workshop. Okay, sir. Thank you. Please go on. Proceed, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jaiswal, sir, from the head of the Department of Commerce, and is a very senior person in the commerce, and I'm very happy to getting associated with Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapit, a very holy place in India, I think, for a holy occasion. And I would like to congratulate the team members and the participants also that this 7-day national workshop hosted by our Honorable Jaiswal ji will definitely help us to improve the quality, because what happened, I represent a state university in the state of Maharashtra, which is considered as Oxford of East. But I think what sir has rightly told, and I would like to appreciate on the record, the spirit behind this organization is very important, because we always keep talking about the quality should be improved, the quality should be enhanced, we must do something to improve the quality. But the practical exposure to the quality is not being given so serious thought. So during the COVID, I think we have understood that physically meeting one-to-one and then having discussion is not that easy. But this online mode, I think, is more important for all of us to learn all these things. I think when we would have thought coming physically there, I think it may or may not be possible. But I think in the virtual mode, we can learn from each other and we can focus on the improvement of quality. So the mission is very important for all the students. And at the beginning, if you are focused on doing this scientifically, I would just like to quote you some examples before I start my slides. Sir, I have divided this presentation into the first, I'll just explain the theoretical talk before the lunch session. And after lunch session, I have requested one of my colleagues who has just come back from IIM Ahmedabad completing the faculty development program, who will give a practical exposure to the regression model and the correlation analysis with examples with the help of her laptop. So that will help them to really go into reality with examples. And first, we'll have a little bit discussion about the theoretical aspects of the topic for the today. This is very important that when we look back and we see that...
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Sir.
So post-lunch, they will be more awake to put in the discussion. Being Sunday...
One. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir, please.
I'm just saying to you, Ayush Kumar, our second member as well as the participants, he will coordinate you.
Okay.
And whatever, I'm
yes,
with your, I'm also in connections with you. But if he any problem, Ayush Kumar will coordinate you. That there will be no problem. And again,
yes, sir.
I will directly come at the last. But at the present, I'm thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, dear participants, we need to understand situation. We need to understand why this quality is important. We need to understand why this scientific approach is important, I think. And I think this is the 6th day. Tomorrow you are having the last day for this research conference. When we all talk about this quality mandate, when we talk about using scientific way in application of the research and using scientific tools for the research, we all need to understand that why this question has come. You must have gone back and see before, I think, 2009, the admission to PhD was a very easy admission, and there are certain protocols which was changed by the UGC in 2009 by issuing a circular where they want you to go through entrance examination, and then every 6 months you have to do some presentations on your topic of research with the expert and get it clarified. What happens for all of us, it's not happened with you also, it happened with me also, because we have certain bias about what research we do. And at least what research we must do, why we should do a research, and what kind of process we should follow a research. I'll quote you an example. Normally, we go to the doctor for any kind of physical issues we face. But what a doctor does, when we, as an expert, doctor always asks us symptoms. Doctor again asks what is happening to us. Then he writes down that points. And upon his judgment, he finalizes that certain issue is there with your health. The second step he takes it, he asks you to go through some scientific process which we call as a testing. So you go through certain testing, the result of the testing is being obtained. Based on the result of the testing, your age, your stage of things, his observation, all mixes, and then he gives you some kind of medication. So I think this is a scientific process. If I give you an example, you have a doctor which is very expert doctor, internationally renowned doctor, and if you go to the doctor and then seeing your face, if he prescribes you some medication, if he gives you some tablet to consume, without going through a process of scientific research, without going through a process of scientific testing, what will happen that you will never go to the doctor again. The same way it may happen with the research process also. Sometimes we have something in our mind. We already have some idea about the outcome of our research, and we are likely to be biased about the outcome of our research. So whenever we continue with the research process in 3 to 5 years time as a PhD student, it happens that the bias comes and dilutes the quality of the research. So it should not happen. We should be open mind. A professor who taught me research methodology in IIM Ahmedabad 18 years back, he was very particular about it. What was his thought process? I think if you follow it, it will be difficult, but it was very scientific. If you want to publish your journal, if you want to publish your research, if you want to publish your thesis in a reputed journal or renowned journal, what normally happens is whatever subject you have in mind, you have to read all possible literature from that subject, and it consumes more than a year to read all available literature on the topic or a subject to narrow down the subject that what you are looking for in that subject. Either there is some change in situation, either there is some change in the parameters of the situation, or there is some change in the outcome of the process. Something has changed. Then you have to find out the research gap. All of you must have found out a research gap before you have started your research process. That finding out a research gap is a very important process, because why you want to do a research on a particular topic should be a first question in your mind. And the second question in your mind is why it is relevant today. Most of the time it happens that we choose a topic, we choose a period, or we choose a concept or a problem area which may not be relevant for today. Because my thesis, my PhD is going to publish 4 years or 5 years later after completing the complete study. At that point of time, is it going to be relevant? Is it going to be up to date? Or the whatever finding we are going to find out, are these findings is going to be implemented in any sector of this industry? As we are commerce and management students, anywhere it's going to be implemented. Normally, if you go through the what your report or project which is submitted normally by the MBA student or a master's degree MCOM student or MPhil student, I request you all to go through at least 10 projects without reading the name of the student. We do not want to criticize anybody, but what we have found out that student has something in mind before he starts the project. So whatever hypothesis is brain is not a scientific process, scientific outcome of the process. Whatever question is in mind, And just roughly, if you can get an idea, if you get four things in your mind and look at any process, first is title of the research, which is written on the first page. If you go through the title is mostly a very vast title. Practically, you must see that implementation or execution of that title in the research is not possible. I have 80 faculty members when I was working as the director of the institute. And I was surprised that many of the faculty used to write in HR conferences, publish paper in finance conferences or OM conferences, just to increase the number of paper in their conferences. They were not focused. If the faculty from finance writes something in OM, if the faculty from OM writing in something in HR, I don't mind that they should not write, but they should have aptitude and scientific approach. What happens that whenever the faculty comes for the interview, today also in our university, the interviews for the post of professor is going on under career advancement scheme. And we found that they have written in any conferences, but there is no relevance of one conference or one topic to another topic. Just to increase the number of presentation, their research has been written, and they are not able to justify their existence through that research publication. Your PhD is the last and formal degree you are going to obtain from any university in the world. This degree is a reflection of your quality. You may get a degree, but if somebody opens your thesis, I think he should get some kind of impression. Whenever you are going for some interview after completion of your PhD, they will have an impression about you when they open your research, when they ask you some question about your research, when they ask you why you have chosen this topic, how this topic is relevant today. I think you need to have that mental process should be done. What happens in the process when we are doing research, we collect so many things, and it is very difficult for us to throw away certain things. I think factor analysis talks about this only. Certainly, we keep on holding things in our hand, and we do not want to reduce the burden, and that affects the quality. So I was telling that any project you go through first, just as an example, from any MPhil student or any MBA student or MCOM student, you can see that the title is very big title. Issues and challenges of this kind of workers in India. That is a challenge. If you go in objective, some portion of the title is get dropped in objective page. So he is not focused. Then he goes to some region of Pune or some area in Pune or some MIDC in Maharashtra state. So that gets narrowed down. I always quote an example to all my research students that if you go to a movie and you read the title, you know that what kind of movie is inside. It's a horror movie or a romantic movie or a fiction movie or what kind of impression we create. Movie is good, but the title, we have our impression. We go by impression, and then if we start observing the movie, if there is a mismatch, we get dissatisfied. The same thing happens with many of the researchers. Most of the time when we conduct the vivas of the student, we have a sympathy towards student. Oh, he has spent 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. At least we should look at the time he has spent rather than the quality he has spent. A lot of time, little bit compromise has been done at the time of evaluating student, at the time of conducting a viva voce of the student. Most of the time we say, no, usko itna 5 saal he has spent 5, 6 years doing research. I think let's give him some kind of motivation. That should not happen. We should not give a chance. I think I would like to again say that your institute, your department is doing a lot of efforts, such efforts to see that you understand at point of time why UGC has recommended every 6 months you should face a presentation of your progress. I think that is the right time to eliminate certain things. What if you reach at the destination and then realize that the whole path you have followed is the wrong path? You cannot come back. So I think every 6 months you have a chance to discuss. You have a chance to get opinion of the expert. You have a chance to understand what is going right. You have a chance to eliminate things which is not relevant to the focus research area from your topic. And that's why the presentation is there. You have a group of students now. And during 7 years, 7 days with FDP, I think you have become a cohesive group. Generally, what do they? We do not share with anybody what we do in research. We keep it with ourselves. We try to hide it. Even students are very afraid in showing to guide also, because he can find out 10, 20 mistakes. Or sometimes he can say that, throw away whatever you have done now, refresh. I think this is the right way of doing research. 10 times you should feel that everything I have done is the best, and then you can find the real research in your subject, in your topic. So I think understanding all these things is very, very important thing when you think about the research. So objective is sometimes defined, is losing some context from your title. And student, you must have seen that you have 5 objectives, 7 objectives, 4 objectives, whatever number of objectives. So try to understand that what normally we do, that for all objectives cannot be operationalized through questionnaire method. You define any objective, the methodology which is followed is the questionnaire method. Without understanding that some objective you can use the secondary data. For some objective there can be a different methodology which can be adopted. But normally what we do, that for all objectives we prepare one questionnaire and we administer to only one group. So you can have different kind of process for different. If I have a headache and if I have blood pressure, can doctor do only one test? For each objective, he can have a different test. Simple way. It's a very simple way I am telling. Just try you to understand that. If I have a pale face, then doctor can do a blood test and try to understand what kind of hemoglobin level I have. So similar way, in your topic, you must understand that what are the kind of testing is required. That is application of various research methods. Generally, research methodology students take more seriously and they outsource it to somebody who doesn't understand the spirit of research. If I give to some statistician and ask him that I'll pay you something, your charges, and give me our data process, generally it is outsourced and got it done. But he doesn't understand the spirit of research. He doesn't understand the topic of research. So whatever outcome he gives to me, I think may not be relevant, or whatever comes in the process of processing that data. I think you have a lot of software is available, and you can take the help of statistical expert. You can take the help of people who have already completed. You can take the help of other institutes, other students who have completed their research. But whenever you are using some statistical tool, you must be sure that why this statistical tool should be used, why you want to do t-test, why you want to do regression analysis. If you are not sure about, see, the objective of going through a literature review is what 10, 20 researchers have done while giving a thought to this subject. If most of them have used certain tool, and if you want to deviate from using that tool, you have to justify that I am not going to use this tool for the reason. Just don't take that somebody has used some tool, that's why I have copied that tool to my topic. So I think this kind of thought process is very, very important and scientific. So most of the time we do a questionnaire method. It's not necessary that every time you should go with a questionnaire method. You can do any other method other than questionnaire method. Or if a questionnaire method, I think you have to find out that how you are going to prepare the question. You must have something like testing of your questions before they are administered. So many things are required. Then I was referring to the project report of the students. Third thing what they do is they present the data. Most of the time it is presented in a graphical format using some kind of pie charts, conversion to some percentage, trying to get it converted into various kind of graphics. There are 100 types of pie charts are available. It's not for the beautification of data, for understanding the data, understanding the correlation between the data, understanding how data speaks about it. Most of the time, different pie charts are used just for the beautification of the research. And then you have certain kind of findings. Most of the time, if you read, you will find that the data which is been interpreted in the form of finding is just reading the relationship between the data without understanding it deeply. That certain percentage in higher in such this thing, certain things are being lesser being seen, certain things are being reduced. Just conversion of that graphical presentation into words. I think this is not required. You go to the doctor goes for the testing, and the test report says this is the standard thing, this is the deviation, and so many things. You have 6 hemoglobin, you need medium, as a male you need, or female you need this kind of hemoglobin range. But we don't consume our medication on the basis of the report. So there are certain correlation is required between your age, between your habits, between your history and your report to find out that what kind of medication is required. Otherwise, it's so simple that you can Google, just put that data into some software, and you will get the medication. There is no need to pay amount to the doctor. And the last part of it, which is very funny now, which is your recommendation. 90% of the time, we have found out that the recommendation is not relevant with the title of the research. The recommendation is not relevant with the process and data which has been generated through the research. And recommendation mostly is not linked because it appears as a suvichar. It appears as a good line. Increase commission, increase the salary package, give more facility in this type of that type. My friends, normally any research get published or any research thesis get to us is more than 400, 500 pages. We are all from the commerce and management faculty. Do you think that can we reduce the research or the thesis to 50%? Recently, I was going through a research thesis from the Gujarat University, and literature review, the person has spent almost 170 plus pages out of 300 pages. So I think balance is also an important thing. We do not keep on just copying something from the relevant literature. I think we need to filter either date-wise or time-wise, or some thought process has to be going. You cannot keep quoting people from a research A, B, C, D like that, and then complete your thought process. So this kind of things should not happen, that everybody needs to be cautioned. And being in a similar group or a same group doing PhD or doing research, I think all of you must get connected to each other to eliminate the mistake which you are doing. You can have formal or informal discussion forum. You can have discussion with your head of the institution or your guide, research guide very frequently. You should get tuned an idea of what you are doing exactly on the research. And these all things are very important to understand while doing the research. Otherwise, what happens most of the time that we reach to the completion of 50% or more, and then we realize that a certain mistake has already happened in the process of research. How to code the thing, how to write, I think this is all things is very, very important things that most of the time drafting and preparing of the research. I'll give you a simple tip. You have a laptop or you have a PC in your institute or college or at home. What you can do that whenever you are going through some literature, either in a soft format or in a hard format, you can create your virtual index on your laptop. Create a folder of your PhD. Again, in the folder, create subfolders of PhD that it is a research methodology or some recommendation or bibliography or your literature review. Make that folder, subfolders here. And whatever, if I have a research paper where I found that the first 2 paragraphs I can include while preparing my literature review. The last few paragraphs are important when I'm going to write about my data analysis or some relevant thing. I think you can mention on that paper or highlight that paper and put that paper in the folder. Because what happened during the process, you spend 2.5 years doing all these things, and then you don't recall that what exactly has to be going in the literature review. What are the tools you have liked while reading a lot of research paper? I think you should put that in, make a Word file and put that all relevant documents in that folder. So it will be easy when you start writing your thesis, when you start writing your research, you will realize that what thought process has gone in and what are the things which you have already taken cognizance while reading, because sometimes when we read, we realize that I would like to write the finding in this kind of way, the way that researchers has written this. Put that in writing, that this is a pattern which I would like to present. So try to see that it's a woven mala when you start with your title of the research, when you start justifying your research with a way of objective. Don't try to write 10 objectives, because are you going to operationalize all these objectives while performing your research? If it is not, 2 or 3 is very important. If you're going to write a report to any industry, I think, can I give you blood report of 20 pages, writing all components of your blood? It's not worth. I think what we'd like to be that, what is the hemoglobin? There are certain fixed parameters, there are important parameters which need to be highlighted, and I think that crisp report is important. If somebody gives a health report of 200 pages, what happens to her? We get fed up. What is the important thing? What is the relevant thing? The same way it should not happen with the thesis. We have written so many things which may or may not be relevant in making some kind of decision. Our thesis, our report should be referred as a reference document in the field where we are doing the research. Most of the time, the student completes the PhD program and he himself doesn't open the thesis after his PhD been awarded. Only when he opens, when he has to appear for some kind of interview for the promotion for the professor's post or a head of the institute post. I think that should not happen, that our thesis should be relevant. Our thesis is an impression of our 5 years work, how sincere, how hard we are putting the work in writing the research. That quality is very, very important. Then plagiarism is again an issue and challenge faced by all of us, that we, as a university, we were doing a lot of research grants to the students, starting from 50,000 rupees to 2 lakh rupees. But most of the time it happens that the kind of quality or outcome of research which we have got after 2 years or 3 years, it has been put on the record that 70% of the research outcome by the senior teachers were not worth, or it includes a lot of plagiarism. 60 or 70% thesis was not relevant to the tune or topic, which is not going to use anywhere. That's why when we are going, I think you can go back, you can see. When I was doing my research, I have planned to do the research in the field of finance. But I went one professor in IIM Ahmedabad and I worked under him for 2 months. And then due to his interaction, his thought process, I have changed my topic, I have changed my even stream. I work in the stress management field. So I think you can go back and see, nothing is late in this world. You can go and refer back and see that what best practice you can adopt, and see that your thesis is a document which can be referred even after 10 years. It becomes relevant. It doesn't become outdated after some period of time or during the process of your research. So this is a very, very important thing, and I'd like to congratulate all of you for patiently attending all these sessions for last 6-7 days. And I think this is a cleansing process. Research process is a cleaning process. Research process is the cleaning of your thoughts. Research process is the refreshing of your thoughts. It's not something happen mechanically. The more you read, the more deeper you understand your outcome. What was the target when I was doing a program with IIM Ahmedabad of a 4.5 months faculty training program I was doing? In 4.5 months, we were only asked to prepare a topic. Just identify a topic and write 10 lines about your topic on a single A4 page with 1.5 spacing. We thought it's a very short thing. But a professor who was teaching in IIM Ahmedabad has done many courses in USA about the research methodology. And his approach was very, very scientific. He said that you have to read all available literature on the earth related to that topic and find out what is the gap. Unless you find out the clear-cut gap in that research, either in process, either change in time, or any other similar way, you cannot start your research. So I think he said that 3 months you have to take just going through a literature of the topic of your choice. Go through all research paper, all available research paper, all available literature. What happens that first we decide the topic and then we start reading literature. That is the wrong process. We must get a topic evolved out of the literature we are reading from the relevant research papers published recently. And the 10-line publication, 10-line submission, which all of us have submitted to the teacher, the highest mark has been +1 out of 10. Most of us has got a Magnus mark, negative marks, because he said that any line you are writing with the reference in a scientific way should be in your own words, be you having same grammar. Most of us copy one line from that research paper, another line from another research paper, third line from third research paper. It's good. Not doing exact copy, but most copy. And then he said that in 10 lines, almost 8 lines having different kind of grammars. It is not linking, you're not writing in your own words. So he has written on the side of that thing that this is not thought, this is not logical, this flow is not logical. The references are not logical. Either it should be peer-wise, or it should be author-wise, or you can go up to one author and then quote his all publication on that topic in your literature review. So scientific way of appearing to the research, I think we all need to learn while writing the research paper. So these are the things which can become more relevant, and number of pages I request you to try to minimize as far as possible, because no industry is going to read a report of 400 pages. If I go give you a report of 400, 500 pages, you may not read it. Most of us will not read it. But if I give you a report of 3 or 4 pages, normally that synopsis submission is there. I think most of us go through the synopsis 100%, because that is the most relevant and crisp part of our outcome of our research. So that outcome is more important, more relevant. It should be implementable, executable, workable outcome. So do not give any such suggestions which are not realistic, which are not relevant, which are not going to be implemented at all. Because increasing profit, giving more money to the employee, giving more facility to the employee, do you think that the industry who are the outcome of a research, or commerce industry, or a management of any industry will take this because they know that commission is going to be increased? So what is the specialty which is the real outcome of your research should be given in a crisp format, in a bullet point format, should be workable. And if that is being accepted by the industry, I think that is our success of doing a research. So go back again, refer to your topic, refer to your thought process, see that what is relevant, what is not relevant, see the connection between your objective, your title, the kind of tools which you are going to use while using the research methodology, the kind of outcome you are expecting, how you're going to process the outcome. If you do not process the outcome properly, if you're not collecting the scientific data, most of the time we found that the data is collected in a random sampling way. So whoever gives you data, I think it's been collected with that. We have a lot of online tools are available. We have Google Forms are available. You can use the form, but before going for the collection of data, check that whatever data will be collected by the tool. If you're not going to use ready-made tool, you have to prepare your own tool. And if it's not going to capture the thing which is supposed to be measured, I think this is not a right way of using that tool. So you have to do some testing with the 30, 40, 50 relevant sampling method, and then try to find out that what is more relevant in capturing that data. If I'm going to measure, simple example, if you're going to measure a length, can I do what is the standard means? It's a meter, millimeter, centimeter. That is the standard accepted. If I'm going to measure a milk or a liquid, it has to be in liters or in gallons. So everybody understand in the same way, similar way, if you have to capture leadership qualities, there has to be a standard measure which comes close to capturing those kind of quality, and that is factor analysis. So before you start doing your questionnaire, before you start understanding that how you're going to apply your thought process, this mental thought process is very important, and discuss it with somebody who is doing research. You can suggest, you can filter out your negative thought process, you can filter out something which is not relevant in your thought process, and definitely that is going to help you in your cleaning process. So elimination is the most important part. of factor analysis and elimination most important part of research while doing PhD. You must say that I've gone through the 100 research papers. I found 15 of them all only relevant to my research, and 85 of them I've gone through it, but they're not completely relevant. I think that kind of decision making is very important. The data is overburdened, the kind of information we get is overloaded, and then we reach the point when we think that we are reached that there is no elimination. We have so much data available with us, how we are going to process the data, how we are going to analyze the data. I think it's very difficult and complicated, and which may not give the relevant result while processing the data. So handling that data, processing it properly, understanding at each point of time, eliminating which is not relevant as far as the time is concerned, as far as the thought process is concerned. I think share and presentation, don't go for the formal presentation every point of time, but many times you can share, you can talk with the people who are in research. 2012, I visited a US university, which is called as Harvard University, MIT Sloan University, and many other universities. When I was talking with the people or faculty with the prior appointment, that they have asked us that what are the research areas in which your faculty is working for? While discussing that, I told them they are doing in finance. They were laughing. They are doing in HR. They were laughing. They are doing in commerce area. They were laughing. They say, sir, if you want to do a joint collaborative research proposal, I think your faculty has to be specific. I told them that my faculty does a PhD research in HR, or they do research publication in finance. Sometimes they do research. They take some data and then process or write in 2-3 days or 7 days. Any research paper we publish in a conference. It's not much time which they take. They say that if you want to become a real researcher, I think your research needs to be focused on a small niche topic. My friends, just remember this word. A small niche topic. A small topic, microfinance companies, cooperative banking companies, retail market governed by some act. So you take that topic, work on that topic for few years, what they say. If you want to become very relevant, go deeper and deeper into a small niche topic, do your research, get it published for multiple times on different aspects of that topic. And if you do it consistently for several years, you get recognition as an expert. All teachers, if they're teaching finance, HR, marketing, accountancy, costing, or OB, organization behavior, they should see that last 5 years, what was your focus area? You must have written or prepared some article, or written something, or published some research paper, presented some paper in the conference. Was they relevant in the same topic or a small niche topic? If you want to get a recognition as a teacher beyond your teaching subject, as an expert in the external community, if I want to talk about academic leadership in universities for next 5 years, or if you have to get expertise, like we call as environment expert, we call as a water expert. This is not a degree given by any university as an expert. What happens then? The person talks about that topic every time. The person thinks about the topic every time. The person writes about the topic every time. The person is focused toward that topic whenever he is doing. So over a period of time, the society, the people outside your own college get recognition for you that you are expert in this kind of subject, and then you start getting invitation. So next 5 years, whatever topic of your choice you are choosing, I think you need to do a focused research on the same topic, going deeper and deeper, using some advanced tools, using and exploring some slightly changing things, changing tools, and trying to get what is the relevant, what is the data. Right now, 2 types of research are being required, and I'm requesting all my talks to everyone that your research should have some outcome which can be practically implemented for the society. or practically implemented for any industry, I think the paper research is not required in this COVID situation. We can do something for the students. We can do something for the people outside. We can do something for the society. We can do something for the country, and keep doing it for next 5-7 years. So if I have to become an expert in a retail market, I must keep writing on a retail market, in the newspaper, in preparing some book, writing some research paper, writing some conferences, preparing my research paper and getting published. And then if I do it for more than 5 years to 7 years, I will be recognized as an expert in retail. My appeal to all who are present today is, in next 5 to 7 years, you should focus on the likely area or the area in which you want to get recognized for yourself. Like cyber laws. If you want to become an expert in cyber laws, for next 5 to 7 years, you should keep writing, thinking, talking, discussing, deepen your research in the cyber law. Then the people outside your institute or college will recognize you as cyber expert. Go to the industry, talk to the expert, give some additional certification about your cyber laws, something like that. And then my certification will be only when your state government or central government or anybody in your vicinity invites you as an expert on that subject. I think that is the recognition. If government of India or Uttar Pradesh government or Maharashtra government has to prepare any updates in the cyber law, I should be invited as a member, and if I'm doing really nice, as a chairing that cyber law committee for the state or country. So I think that is the outcome of research. That is the outcome of consistency. You should keep a target in your mind while doing the research. Don't do the research to get a degree. If you are doing for the degree, I think you will get a degree, but not the recognition outside the degree. Now, there are a lot of agencies are there outside who take some few 100,000 rupees and publish your research in a book format, which nobody reads. So don't go for any short-term such kind of things. Try to understand that whatever topic of PhD is a serious topic, you are going to do it for 5 years. Keep publishing your papers, research outcome, smaller research for this 5 years. 2 are mandatory. Publishing 2 papers to your guide is mandatory. Don't go for minimum. You can publish at least 3 or 4 research papers during the process of your PhD. Try to understand that the more deeper you do, the more different kind of tools you utilize for your PhD, the kind of different result you get, and try to correlate that the result, how you are going to connect with your objective, with your methodology, and then your findings should be relevant, usable, and workable. I think if you follow this kind of process over the period of time, it may become a relevant and you'll be getting expert recognition after end of your PhD. You can work 2 years more after completion of your PhD. Don't leave that topic. Most of the time we write that the limitation of the research is a limitation of time, limitation of space, limitation of area, and then you write the scope for further research, which leave it there only. It is written there in your research thesis as a part of beautification, that scope for further research, and then we don't do anything in that. I think this should be taken as a lifetime mission. Whatever topic if you have chosen, if you're happy with the topic, if you have yourself chosen just not to complete your PhD, I think that focus area should be a research topic for you for next 5 to 7 years. Keep going, talking about it, start thinking about it, start writing about it, start publishing about it using different kind of ways and tools. The other researchers have to go and refer and read. Keep reading. It's not end when I've written a literature review, I should stop referring to various kind of literature. So a lot of new research is coming in, a lot of new tools are coming in. Try to use and accommodate in your research whenever it is possible. Start networking, keep discussing with the people so that your research become relevant. People understand about your research, they talk about your research, they talk about your thought process, and that purification, that clarification is more important. The more you talk, the more you discuss, I think it's the more clarity for your research. The less you talk, the less you keep in your mind, I think the doubts are not clear. Research is not a path which is going a standard path. It's exploratory. Both of the time you have to do a lot of thinking process, a lot of elimination process. The more you eliminate, the more you go into the real research part of it. So I think with this thing, we'll share with you a small PPT before we stop for the lunch. But I think this was my heart-to-heart talk, which I thought that I should share with you. That most of the time we found that there are certain gaps, and whenever student comes for the final PhD Viva, we found that there is some mistake or some lacuna has gone into the process. He has not given a serious thought while doing the research, or he has gone without any proper direction, I think. And we cannot blame the student because there are no milestones in between. So I think 6-month presentation, this kind of research conference is the milestone to review, go back, think, share, talk, communicate. I think you will get an idea. I will be more happy to tell that somebody tells me that whatever you have done is not relevant, throw it away, start with a fresh mind. This is, I think, the right way to understand that this 50% I'll throw away, and then whatever is relevant. So that is a purification. We do all this with curd, trying from curd से हम घी निकालते हैं ना, उसमें जो प्रोसेस है कि उसमें से जो वेस्ट है वो ऑटोमेटिकली निकल जाता है, और जो नवनीत है वो नवनीत बल्कि बाहर आता है. आई थिंक आउटकम ऑफ योर रिसर्च should be navneet. Starting from milk to that navneet is a very good process. Churning is very important. Churning of thought is very important. Sharing is very important. Being together is very important. Concept sharing is very important. Reading new techniques and tools are more important. Now there are a lot of ready-made tools are available, which you can use easily. Get the outcome easily. Over Excel sheet is excellent also. The statistical tools, there are various things are available. Even bigger universities and colleges are also subscribed into the thing. Learn from them. Don't outsource your statistical outcomes, but trying to learn from them, try to understand that how this statistical tool is relevant in my research, giving me the necessary outcome of the research. Don't just put that data in a graphical format and try to see that. Most of the time, I am very open to share with you that 80 or 90% time, I found that most of the people do chi-square test without understanding that is it relevant for that research. Everybody should do chi-square test, and the research is been presented without understanding the reality. So I think this is more important for all of us to understand. I'll just share my slide. 1 minute. The next session will have a complete presentation. I hope you're going to, you're able to see the Ayush Kumar ji.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, it is visible, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
I'm using this twice. Most of the time we are used to have another Zoom we are used to have.
Exactly, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope the participants are awake.
Exactly, sir. They are enjoying so much, sir. Actually, sir, we have a separate Telegram group, and in the group we are having a very good comments regarding your lecture, because you have talked with the heart of yours, and your experience for conducting and doing the research is very much important for our research scholars, sir.
Thank you.
So we are having a very positive feedback, sir, till now, and hope in the next sessions we also.
Yeah,
Thank
next
you so much.
the second session in Japan, because everybody's coming after lunch, so since being a Saturday, they should not feel sleepy. So I requested one of my colleagues to show the demonstration of actual correlation, because theoretically everybody understands, but for the formality I have prepared this kind of slides, which will complete, and then next session will have all kind of testing which will take. So business research methodology, statistical testing, thesis writing, I think these are all techniques. You go to the next slide. Okay, third slide. So these three things we are going to discuss as a part of agenda. The first is factor analysis. The second is a correlation analysis, and third is a regression analysis. These are things that the tools which are going to be used in doing your research. We need to understand the logic behind using these kind of tools, rather than just not saying that these are the important things. So in this session, I think in the remaining time we should. What is the factor analysis first of all? In simple words, because normally what happens that there are a lot of technical words are being used in the statistics, and then I was a student, and still today also I feel that the jargons make things more complicated. So factor analysis is basically a reduction of your data, and reduction of data is classifying and regrouping your questions. A simple example I can quote you is I have to take a survey, or I have to do some research on a village where I have prepared more than 500 questions. And this 500 questions can be grouped into the 10 groups. So example is a group is called as a tree, and the branches are different. So I can take education as a tree, cleanliness as a tree, health as a tree, harmony as a tree, leadership as a tree. So it can be taken as group, which we can call in a simple word as a tree. In a technical word, it is a factor. And all branches in that can be considered as variables. For example, on a table we have apple, umbrella, textbook, pen, paper, orange, watch, clock, pencil, raincoat, and storybooks. So 11 items are there. So what we need to do is we can take and prepare a group. So tree will be a fruit. Fruit will be a factor. In that factor, apple and orange are variables. The second, we can do rainwear as a factor, and umbrella and raincoat is a variable. The third, books is a factor. Textbook and storybook is a variable. We can take stationery as a factor, pen, paper, and pencil as variable. And next we can do timepieces as a factor, watch, clock are variables. So reducing that variables into factors using factor analysis. We know that the data transformation refers to the procedure of modifying original data into the new form, which is summarization of raw data. I was telling you that information overloaded creates a lot of issues and challenges. Frequency distribution summarizes the responses given to a question or set of questions, giving us the aggregate how many gave us each type of response. We can also summarize the question so that the set of questions are brought together to reflect the concept, or we could call it as a factor. There are two different ways in which we can undertake the summarization process. By substantially sorting the statement according to the criteria and then using a specific logical procedure to derive an overall value for factor. Here, we will need to know what specific substantive criteria is by which to classify the group of questions into specific set. And second, by statistically sorting the statements according to the statistical criteria and using specific statistical procedure to derive one or more factors. This will be then utilized to derive overall values for each factor. So these are the theoretical things. Then correlation analysis and regression analysis. This factor analysis is historically Charles Edward Spearman, the British psychologist. The first notable mention was mentioned by him, knows his seminal work of testing, measuring of human intelligence by using factor analysis. A factor is a linear combination of variables. It is a construct that is not directly observed, but that need to be inferred from input values. The meaning of factor analysis and its purpose. It's a procedure used to reduce a large amount of question into fewer variables. I told you, you have to group the things according to their relevance. Used to know how many dimensions as a viable adds. Provides a tool for analyzing a structure of interrelationship, that is correlation, among the variables. Highly correlated data. Factors are assumed to represent the dimensions within data. Main purpose of this factor analysis to define the underlying structure among the variables in the analysis and interdependence among them. The definition of factor analysis is provides a tools for analyzing the structure of interrelationship, that is a correlation among the variable by defining a set of variables which are highly correlated, known as a factor. First is reduction, that is data can be reduced, variable can be reduced. Then you can develop a new scale, measuring scale, which really measures. When I'm talking about the psychometric test or the test which measures something which is not clearly visible, if I have to measure an effectiveness of leadership or any other parameters like that, behavioral pattern, we need to develop a scale. And with the help of factor analysis, you can develop the scale, a new scale can be developed, or as a researcher, you can do the existing scale which is being used or prepared by a researcher with mentioning that researcher. If I have to measure stress, I have done my PhD in stress management. I was a faculty teaching finance for whole of my career. But since I was there in IIM Ahmedabad, that my research was related to the stress management. And when I started doing that stress management research, I realized that in most of the companies, when initially I went to the companies, because my target area was there is an industrial area in Pune nearby where most of the good companies or reputed companies have their offices, that how they look at this issue of stress. And before I start preparing for the questionnaire, I have understood that most of these companies or the managers, because the target audience were the managerial stress, they do not recognize stress as an issue. Being a manager, they feel that if they disclose I'm having stress, it is treated as an incompetency. So using ready-made scale was not going to be worked out in these circumstances. Because there are companies who are international companies, there are some companies which are listed on the stock exchange, there are certain companies which they're locally managed and their managers are from a local area, or there are some managers who are working in this company who have come from international world, foreign managers. The company as Atlas Copco told me that if a person need to wait beyond his office hours, or if he want to come after on a vacation day, I think he has to take a permission. So in some companies, there was some target which was being given not to create a pressure, and they were ready to reduce that kind of pressure. But in some companies, there were very hard target, and every quarter they used to pursue the target, which I have seen that there was a more stress was created. So there was challenge for me to prepare a scale for this kind of vast data or vast range of people, starting from a common company to an international company where they have defined policies and black and white written policies. But the underlying factor which I have realized in the process of doing research is most of the companies, manager doesn't disclose that he's having stress. And the funny part of it, before I gone for the scale, which is prepared by me with the help of the expert from IIM, the factor which I found out peculiar to the situation is there was some stress, or some people have stress of traveling, because most of the people used to stay, most of the manager, because of their richness, because of their family issues, because of their children were going to good schools and colleges, they were all staying in the city of Pune, and the industrial belt was located in Pimpri-Chinchwad, which was almost 20 kilometers or more from the city area. So majority of the manager have found out that there is a stress of traveling stress, which normally using any ready-made scale was not possible. So they have to travel almost 1 hour or 1.5 hours while going and then coming back from that time. So that has added to their stress. Another stress which I have found out through this factor analysis method is relationship stress. They were not able to handle the relationship in their organization, that I am not getting gel with my supervisor, I am not getting gel with my subordinates, I am not able to cope up with the co-workers whom I am handling, whom I am leading with, and the stress was getting created. So the reason for stress, so the stress point was same. The outcome of stress was having high BP, hypertension, blood pressure, and so many other things. But the reason for stress were various different. And funny part of it, most of the time, when the companies used to treat this kind of stress without understanding the reason of stress, is they were used to send them for the vacation or for a yoga class, that 7 days vacation with the family, or going for a yoga class, or conducting some kind of exercises or meditation program in the organization. Now, if you don't do all these exercises, what happens that you don't know the reason. If my reason of stress is due to interpersonal relationship with my boss, is yoga is going to help me out. If my stress is because of the traveling time which I spend to and fro from home to office and office to home, is medication going to help me out? If my stress is because of my some psychological issues, I need to go to the meditation. So when I was thinking and talking with the expert, I realized that you need to understand and find out the sources of stress. Every company on record were spending lakhs of rupees on managers for their development, for their stress management, but they were not understanding the real source of stress. Unless until I understand the source of stress, how I'm going to treat the stress, because that has to be applied to the source of stress. If my source of stress is a traveling time, I can do some yoga, or there is some other activity can be done. If my stress is because of the relationship stress, some counseling is possible to reduce that stress. So I think this thing is possible when you understand your concept rather than, so new scale can be developed out of this factor analysis. Psychometric quality. I think you have to administer the measure which you have been done, and understanding the quality really it captures that stress. If it is not capturing, if I'm using some tools to measure some other things, does the outcome of that tool captures what I am supposed to capture? If it is yes, then go ahead. If it is no, you have to review, you have to revise capturing those stress. Then dimension. The assessment of the dimensions of the set of variables, what you want to really capture. So in roughly, there are two types of things. Factor analysis is general name denoting the class of procedures primarily used for data reduction and summarization. Or second is variables are not classified either dependent or independent. Instead of the whole set of interdependent relationship among variable is examined in order to define a set of common dimensions called factors. So very important thing is if you have to do a scientific process and if you follow it relevantly, you can complete it. 1 second. 1 second. Sorry. So factor analysis primarily used for the scale data reduction, scale development, evaluation of psychometric quality, assessment of dimensions of set variables. The data reduction is done through data reduction is the process of reduced the volume of original data and represent in much smaller volume. Scale development is the process of developing reliable and valid measure of construct in order to assess an attribute of interest. I think all of you should focus and create your own scale in the area of your research. If it is not possible, you can use the ready-made scale. But preparing the scale is also a very good scientific process. You all can do it and then see that the relevant result is getting captured out of it. If I'm using a thermometer, I'm getting a temperature out of it. So if I have to use the leadership quality or success of leader or any other quality from my research area, does that scale capture that result is the most important thing, and how accurately can be captured. If you go to the Google and search for the ready-made scales which are available in the relevant subject, you will realize that how in a minimum words or minimum questions they captured a relevant scale out of it. So I think that process is also important for you to understand. Psychometric properties are characteristics of tests and other measures of human characteristics that identify and describe the attributes of an instrument, such as reliability. I think reliability of an instrument is more important. When you check, you can tell words which you have used, because sometimes we use certain words. They may not be taken in the same way by the people who are using the scale. Similar way, if you go that if I'm doing a program or if I'm trying to capture the problems and issue challenges faced by the workers or construction workers or something in worker category, and if I'm asking them the question in English and presenting my data, does it reliable? Because they may not have understood any of the question which I have written or very few questions out of it. So I think you need to try to understand that who are the people to whom you are going to administer the question. Make that question in a local language. Don't feel that everything has to be in English. You can do it in your Gujarati or Hindi, and then see that the question is understood by the people, because his education level, his understanding level is important. So unless you do all these things, I think we are not going to get the real data. So data and the instrument has to be reliable. Instrument should be able to test. If I am to check the temperature, I need to use the relevant instrument. If I check that COVID positivity, I think you have to use something which is reliable. Right now, you must be thinking that RT-PCR test is only reliable test to detect the COVID problem. Otherwise, there are some tests which are not telling you the accurate data. Their symptoms, certain symptoms have been captured. So I think that psychometric properties need to be captured properly in the data which is. Then dimensional analysis of the relationship between by considering its unit of measure. The factor analysis decision process flow is like that. The step 1, objectives or factor analysis. The step 2 is designing a factor analysis. Step 3, assumptions in the factor analysis. Step 4 is deriving factors and assessing overall fit for the factors. Step 5 becomes interpreting the factors. Step 6, validating the factor analysis. And step 7, additional use of factor analysis research. Interpretation of result. If you follow this sequence, I think it can be done more scientifically. Example, retail firm identified 18 characteristics of a retail store and their services that consumers mention as affecting their patronage choice among the stores. Why some customers chooses some kind of retail stores. Retailer want to find out the broader dimension on which it can conduct a survey. The factor analysis will be used here. This is a type of factor analysis. First type of factor analysis is exploratory. That is when the dimension factors are theoretically unknown. You need to explore. You are not aware of what are the factors can be. Exploratory factor analysis is a statistical approach to determine the correlation among the variables in the data set. This type of analysis provides a factor structure, a grouping of variables based on strong correlations. So it's exploratory. Second is a confirmatory. You already have some factors in your mind. When the researchers have preconceived thoughts about the actual structure of data based on the theoretical support or prior research, the researcher may wish to test the hypothesis involving issues which variables could be grouped together on a factor. That is confirmatory. You have certain things in mind. Out of that, you are going to confirm some of the factors. Both type of factor analysis use correlation matrix as an input data. With R-type, use traditional correlation matrix. In Q-type, factor analysis would be factor matrix that will be identified similar individuals. There are some example R-type of factor analysis and Q-type of factor analysis. With the correlation matrix, screenshot is given. Purpose of factor analysis to identify new smaller set of uncorrelated variable to replace original set of correlated variable. So first is difference between loyal and non-loyal customers. Psychographic factors may be used for independent variables. Subsequent analysis to identify underlying dimensions called factor explain the correlation among the set of variables. These are the factors, assumptions of factor analysis. The step one is models are used based on the linear relationship. Step B is models assume that the data collected are interval scaled. Step C is, this first is relationship, second is data type. Multicollinearity, the step C is objective is to identify the interrelated set of variables. And step D, it should not be such that a variable is only correlated with itself and no correlation exists with any other variable. Result of the test is depend upon the sufficient data size to be collected from the respondent. So minimum number of variable for a factor analysis is 5 cases per variable. Example is 20 variables should have 100 cases, that is 1:5. 5 times higher. This is a standard thing. Number of observations are greater than 20 cases per variable. That is 20 variable identifiers should have 100 cases. 1:20 is the ratio. This is a diagram path of factor analysis. I'm going to share this all two presentations with you on email with the organizers, so you can go through the presentation. This factor analysis and using SPSS. These I put a screenshot. If possible, in second session, we'll show you the live. These are some screenshots. This SPSS is the most reliable now thing, which you can do a lot of combination, permutation, and then get yourself data interpretation. So this is the outcome, which is a rotated component matrix with rotated method. These are the example after analysis and after grouping. You can see that in second things, cost, this is the groups. This is the second group in IT, and the third group you can get where the factors have been loaded for 0.45, 0.57. The relevant factors have been identified. Hypothesis, H0, all cognitive factors contribute equally for implementation of ICT. Hypothesis 1 is all cognitive factors contribute unequally for implementation of ICT. Factors can be involvement of management, time saving, confidence level, local service support, user involvement, professionally developed software, fund availability, user friendliness. Groups after factor analysis. This is a convenience factor where user friendliness, local service support, professionally developed software come under this group. Perception is the time saving and fund availability. And motivation is the confidence level, involvement of management, and user involvement. This hypothesis 2 is tested like this. So you can create this kind of matrix. So I think here, the first part of factor analysis, I think I'll stop sharing. So you can use this kind of factor analysis for preparing your own scale, but try to see that the kind of variables you want to capture or factors you want to capture are relevant to your research. Do you have any questions? Otherwise, we'll take a break for 20-25 minutes, and then I'll see that the next session is covering the practical aspect of the correlation and regression model. We'll try to connect with the SPSS and other Excel tools which are available. This is only technique. Factor analysis is not that difficult. You can get relevant data when you're using a Google or simple way. I'll quote an example before we stop. First, for job satisfaction, if I have to refer to 4 factors, the first factor is pay, second can be co-worker, third can be supervisor, and fourth can be job. So under pay, I can have variables like education, job, promotion, and the kind of appraisal they are doing. For supervisor, I can have goal, how they set the goal for me, then how they can share the feedback for me, and how they motivate me, and what are the processes of improving my ability. So certainly these kind of factors or variables can be developed in certain scales. So it can reduce, it can improve, and it can help me in getting more analysis. I'll just 1 minute. I've got a lot of literature of factor analysis. Is exploratory and a confirmatory factor analysis. When you are deciding to go for any of these, just share with someone who is expert in the statistical tools. So they will definitely help you out in performing of your factor analysis. So I think Ayushji, we'll take a break here and then.
Definitely, sir. We can take break here because exactly, sir. Because I've gone through the chat box and my Telegram group. There's no any further questions, sir, from our side. So if you permit, then we can take the break of 30 minutes. After that, we will join.
Yeah. Okay. Yes,
okay. Sir. Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful session, sir. Thank you so much. Sir.